do think that this kind of goes back to the worldviews that you hold. Would you say that if you're dating for marriage?
Me?
Yes.
Well, I'm not gonna get married.
Really?
No.
Why?
He's one of those people that thinks it's a legal institute, is my initial guess.
Oh, it's not that I think it's a legal institution. It is, in fact, wait, what was that? Huh?
It's a religious thing.
Oh,
Isn't it
yes, of
My
course.
daughter's dad was like that. Is like that. So
Oh,
I get it.
Of course. Look, I don't object. Here's the thing. I'm not like, I don't object to marriage from a religious perspective, but there are certain legal realities. The government, like, okay.
You don't want the government making money off your marriage.
Well, okay, so you get legally married. And again, you have to, some states there's a common law marriage where even if you don't, like if you've cohabitated or you've conducted yourselves as if you are married, then you can find yourself in a common law marriage. In fact, in Canada, you might be familiar with this story. There was a man who was just dating a woman, boyfriend and girlfriend. I think they might have cohabitated, lived together, maybe.
You have to cohabitate for a period of time.
But my understanding, and this was a wealthy guy, I don't even know if they were cohabitating, but she sued him. They weren't married, boyfriend, girlfriend. She sued him for spousal support.
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah.
What's that?
In Canada, a girlfriend suing her ex-boyfriend for like alimony or something.
Yeah, it's essentially that they have to provide you the
you can
same,
find the article, Nick.
same lifestyle
That's ridiculous. It's
monetarily that
ridiculous.
you had while you were with them.
How long
So,
were they together?
I have a question when it comes to the whole alimony thing. If a man is expected to continue providing financially, because you're used to a certain lifestyle, does that then mean that as a man you're used to having pussy? So should a woman be like legally compelled to continue like giving you pussy if
I completely agree with that
this
train
is
of
such a
thought. No, I know
ridiculous-
that that's a weird example, but
Pussy
the
is
point
such a
that you're
horrible
making is extremely valid.
I mean,
But they're like I was used to
having sex every
having
night
pussy.
when I came home from work, and now you're not
You want a
there, but why
divorce?
am I
So if
paying
you're going to
you?
get my money, I still get laid, right?
Yeah.
and I'm being obviously there's no scenario where the government can compel somebody, man or woman, to have sex with somebody else, but it is interesting that there is this financial expectation, but also anyways.
I do think on that note, and it's something that's incredibly common in Canada. It varies by province, but I know where I live, I think you have to be living together for 1 year.
1 year?
minimum.
That's
It's
it?
only 1 year.
That's-
Yeah.
Nick, do you have the
Whoa,
article?
dude, I wouldn't live
It's
with anybody
different
in
per
Canada.
state too.
But,
Like states have different laws about what they.
The one thing I would say is I'm here for it only if there's children involved. I think if you have a situation where there's children
then there's
involved,
child support.
and mothers typically
Right.
get full custody on average. So I'm like, yeah,
Around.
okay, that makes
Disavow.
sense. But
50-50
I
should be
personally
50-50.
feel like
that's
it's
changed in the states,
I
anyways.
disagree.
okay.
Can you scroll up a little bit, make it a little bigger?
Oh, Ontario.
Unmarried Ontario couple had no children, no house, but man must still pay support. Can you scroll down? Wait, actually scroll back up. Being in Ontario, being common law spouses
Ontario.
doesn't necessarily mean having lived. I don't even think they were living together.
Yeah, that's odd then.
A wealthy businessman will have to pay more than $50,000 a month in spousal support for 10 years to a woman with whom he had a long-term romantic relationship, even though they kept separate homes and had no children together. That is fucking brained. What?
I mean, honestly,
What?
that's really absurd.
That's
But
like extreme, right?
yeah, like I've never heard of something like that. That's the province next to where I live, and we don't have those laws where I live, at least. But that's a really extreme situation for sure. That's uncommon.
That doesn't make any sense to me. But I saw that story out of Canada. So really quick, just on the marriage thing. Look, so a woman reserves the right at any given time, even if she's like super religious and prays daily, to just like all of a sudden, she can just become a raging feminist, decide that she's kind of bored in the marriage and end the marriage and then she's not going to go to God, she's not going to go to a priest, she's not going to go to her church. She's going to go to an attorney, a lawyer, who may very well be an atheist, who may very well not be religious or godly or any of these things. The attorney, she's going to defer to the attorney's recommendation, who has a financial motive and incentive to siphon as much money from the husband as possible. The husband probably has to pay for the attorney, and he's going to have to pay for his own attorney too. And then they're embroiled, especially if the divorce is contentious, there's disagreements about things. It's going to be embroiled in a contentious divorce. He's going to spend thousands, tens of thousands, maybe even six figures in legal costs, depending on how wealthy he is. And then there's going to be alimony and community property distributions. And so even if she's a good woman, she's naive. She doesn't know how to, first off, whether you're a man or a woman, most people don't know how to navigate the civil court system. It's incredibly complex. You can't do a self-help divorce.
Prenup?
You're going to go to an attorney. Boom. Okay, cool. Your attorney wants money. Cool. They're in the business of making money, right? Okay.
Prenup.
So this
Boom.
is also where
Cool.
I don't believe in no-cause divorce, and this is a
Yeah,
concept that
I
like
agree.
Michael Knowles talks on, because women initiate 78% of divorces, some number like that, and I don't think that any woman that initiates a no-cause divorce should be able to come after a man for alimony.
agree.
If the situation was reversed, I would be paying alimony to my daughter's dad and child support, even though I have her 90% of the time, just because of work schedules, not because of a custody arrangement. But
You know what though? Like, let me give a counter to that. I actually have objections to rolling back no fault divorce, and here's why. Because I do think there's a risk to men where women will just lie. They'll just lie and say that there was abuse in order to try to get out of a marriage. So I'm actually in favor of no fault divorce, because I think men face an increased risk of false accusations of abuse, child abuse. A man could go to jail.
So-
I'm hesitant to roll back.
It's giving it a space. is what
Well,
you
I'm
mean,
just
like a
curious,
space
like-
I'm not
that's
saying- I'm
there
not
so they
saying
don't
all
have to
women-
lie.
Yeah, look, I'm not saying all women would resort to lying to get out of a marriage, but I'm saying there's some that would. And so that's why I'm actually in favor of just, look, you want out of a marriage, just go.
Well,
Just go.
the one-
Because if you're motivated enough, you're going to lie and ruin a man's life.
I mean,
then,
look at all the
then don't
women
ask
with-
for alimony.
Well, yeah, no, I was going to say the one caveat to that is that you can't have your cake and eat it too. It's either you don't want a woman to be able to press you for alimony in court, or you don't want, or you want no cause divorce, right? Because otherwise, they can't exist mutually exclusively.
Well, I would argue that, for example, like if the guy can prove, I'm a man having to pay alimony versus like a group of men having to pay alimony versus the potential for some men to be falsely accused because of if there were you had to have fault to get a divorce. I would rather men be paying alimony than some men being falsely accused of things that can land them in prison or jail and ruin their life. But I think perhaps, for example, if for example, you can like demonstrably prove there's infidelity, for example, I think that should be legislated. If you can prove that your spouse, and she tries to divorce, if there's divorce, right, that she cheated on you, there's infidelity, then that should relinquish your responsibility for
Agreed.
for spousal support, alimony, and for any sort of, she doesn't get any community property.
If I'm not
well,
mistaken, we have that in Canada for a certain period of time. I have a friend actually who just went through something similar.
So, I mean, if women initiate 78% of divorces, then it would likely be the exception, not the rule, when women were falsifying evidence in order to collect alimony if no cause divorce was implemented, right?
Wait, so I'm sorry, repeat that one more time.
So if no cause divorce is implemented and women initiate 78% of divorces, then men are still protected largely from paying alimony, because the woman would still have to falsify information. And yes, the legal system would inevitably fail at times. It fails all the time across the board on several different topics. But I think that men would be more protected if no cause divorce was implemented and women continued trying to or initiating the majority of divorces.
I'm not totally following. So you're saying we get rid of no fault divorce?
No, you implement it.
Well,
so
wait, hold
no,
on.
so
We
you
have-
no.
We have no fault divorce.
Sorry. That's what I'm saying. Abolish it. Yeah.
Get rid of no fault divorce.
Correct. So that women have to prove some sort of cause, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if women initiate a majority of divorces,
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that all 78% would attempt to falsify information.
Oh, of course. I don't think they would.
So all I'm saying is that you would be protecting some percentage of men in that scenario,
Yeah, but
correct?
so my argument is even if it's say 1% of women would, and it may very well be higher, but if 1% of women would make up false accusations of abuse, I think that it's better to keep the current no-fault divorce system. If some men have to pay alimony to protect a smaller percentage of men
It's also
from
after a
false
specific amount of
accusations,
time.
I'm in favor of that.
Are you suggesting that women currently do not falsify evidence against men, even though...
Oh, they still do.
Right. So that's
Even-
all that I'm
yes,
saying is that
absolutely.
if that still currently happens, then regardless,
They
a
do it-
percentage
they
of
do it
men
in
is still
custody.
protected
They'll
by
do
doing
it all
that.
the time in custody disputes.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. No
Let me
argument.
accuse my husband of abuse. That way I have a better chance of getting the children's. That happens all the time. But I'm speaking more so just from like the financial perspective of, the alimony and, yeah.
I just think that if that is abolished, then there is more potential legal risk to fall back on the woman, and it would deter them from falsifying evidence in order to get a divorce.
I just
I
feel
think
Yeah.
it would save some percentage of men.
I just ultimately, when it comes to marriage, the whole thing, look, the state oversees the marriage. So a woman's going to go, if she wants a divorce, she's going to go to the state, and then you have the state involved. So I'm not.
I have a question.
Yeah.
If you were to be with someone who really valued marriage for religious purposes, but you didn't want the state to be involved, would you be open to having some sort of a ceremony that's unofficial just for the principle of what exactly it is that means?
Well, I would have to do legal research on if you do just get married, like have a religious ceremony, but that doesn't have any sort of legal ramifications, because I'm sure there could, I'd have to research that more. But if it's the case, for example, that you can do a religious ceremony, you can get married, you can consider yourselves husband and wife, but there's no, if you get a divorce, there's no alimony or whatever, then there wouldn't be any sort of drawn out court case, anything like that, then I'd be more open to it.
Okay.
I'd be
I think lots of people.
I'd
have
actually,
parties.
I'd be totally fine with that.
People have parties all the time.
I don't
Like, we're
object to it
married.
from a religious perspective, but I'm not. I mean, I can't imagine unless she's rich. Which
Well,
kind
that's
of
what I
almost
was
counters
going
my-
to challenge you. There is that what I'm hearing you say then is that your assets take precedence above your relationship.
Yeah.
My assets take precedence over my relationship.
Or desire to get married, rather.
Do you have no faith in humanity that you might find a woman who you
I think
actually
it's just
feel wouldn't
being
divorce
it's just
you?
being pragmatic, given the fact that, as you mentioned, it's about 80% of women initiate divorces. It's just not worth the risk.
But also, you say that, but, why are you looking at that statistic and thinking that that would be me? Like, it's like, that could be a high statistic, but that's not me. That's not my future wife. That's not our relationship.
And
like-
as you get older, the percentage of
Like what-
divorces drops off.
Well, yeah.
I think I'm.
And like, why do you want to fall into a statistic?
I
Wouldn't
mean,
you want to
maybe this
go above
comes
that?
off as not being secure in myself. But
Now we're getting somewhere.
no, look,
Tell us your childhood trauma.
I think I'm a good person, but I almost have this premonition. I don't know if I say it. I don't
Say
know.
it.
Say it.
I feel like I'm the dude that gets divorced. I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm that dude.
Are you seeing someone
So-
about that?
Huh?
I said, are you seeing someone about that? Just giving you a
I
hard
just
Are your
kind
parents
of
together?
feel
Do you need a
Are your
hug?
parents together?
they are together.
That's
They're
wonderful.
together, and they're married, and they have a great relationship. And
Beautiful.
Why do you feel that way?
huh?
Why
do you feel that way?
Because I feel like I'm not. I'm not like that hyper masculine dude. Like, I'm kind of more.
Laid back.
I don't. What's that, Nick? Sassy. Yeah, I'm sassy. Like, I don't.
So
I don't
you
know.
can't be like a lumberjack or something. you
I'm a
don't-
gamer. I've got gamer hands.
Yeah.
Dudes with gamer hands get divorced.
That is true. They do look nicely moisturized.
I did see
I
a
don't
statistic
moisturize.
about that somewhere.
His nails are long.
But the thing is like,
no
But like,
calluses.
I don't. And
what
maybe
if you
the
find
chat
your
can
gaming,
weigh in on this.
gaming princess who like loves what you do?
Well,
Like-
Discord
yeah.
kitten.
I crushed like 400
but
hours of
I
Animal
feel like,
Crossing.
look, I'm not like. I feel like at least I'm self-aware. I'm not this like super like rough like how do I explain it, like super hyper masculine guy, and I feel like that.
But you hold very masculine beliefs.
That's what I was gonna say.
Like
is
it doesn't
it's
just because
interesting.
of your
You know?
Because I
your
feel like
extracurricular activities
I'm a little
don't
feminine sometimes.
But
I'm a
I
little
feel
feminine.
like with your views and attitude and even just the way that you present yourself, you're already not attracting the type of women that you fear
Slightly
when
feminine.
it comes to that.
Somebody in the chat says.
I feel like it's valid though because I do think that people that
Roast him.
no that want to get married should only be 150%.
Yeah, I would
Well,
agree.
I
And,
agree,
like-
but I don't think he's also found maybe the right person.
Right, that was
So-
going to be
Yeah.
my other train of thought is
Yeah,
that, like,
it's
I don't
like,
know if
you'll
you
know
really
when you know.
experience. You really do. You really do. Just know when you know. And so I don't think, I don't
like
want
in
to
front
dismiss.
of God, everybody, the state, let's do this.
Yeah,
that
and
type of
I
thing.
just don't want to
That's what I would
dismiss what you said because I mean, 78%, that's a big
Yeah,
percentage. And I
absolutely.
think that it's very reasonable, especially for men in a higher income bracket to want to protect those assets. I just think that if you value marriage, that one or the other has to take priority at the end
He's
of the
a
day.
brave and a decent man. He's a pioneer.
Oh, thank you. I'm touched.
That's why I asked too, like I understand it from a legal perspective. I'm kind of on a similar boat actually where I don't really want that. But I do know that I value what it means to be married. And if there's a way that I can do that without having quote unquote the state involved, I would absolutely opt for that over it. Because to me it's not my signature on a piece of paper that means something when it comes to getting married. It's everything else that encompasses